There we go. Recording in progress. Let's begin with the Lady Naguma meditation, and then we can just talk a little bit more about the practice. Just choosing your comfortable seat with your back reasonably straight, and you can have your feet firmly on the ground, or if you're cross-legged, that's fine. Hands in your lap or on your knees. And let's enjoy 3 deep breaths together. Breathing in, let. Breathing out, go. Inhaling, let. Go. Last one, let. And go. Coming now to a natural breath. We start with the Muladhara chakra, the base chakra, which is situated at the perineum. The root mantra is Shang. So just focus on that area, and we can chant together. It's call and response. So you can sing it to yourself. Shang, 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 Shang. Shang, 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 Shang. And in Tibetan, the words are Juksem Jukpa Chikpa, which means the rider and the horse go together. So when you focus on a particular block area, which is where the chakra is, we encourage prana to go there, enter into the central channel, and we rota. So we open up the side channels that are twisting and constricting our life energy. Moving our awareness up to the sacral chakra, and it can be located just about 2 fingers up from where the crease of the buttocks ends, in front of the spine, the Svadhisthana. And the mantra, the seed syllable is Yam. Yum, 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 yum. Yum, 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 yum. Focusing your awareness, we encourage prana to enter into the space, into the central channel there, moving up from the Muladhara into the Svadhisthana, loosening the knots, breathing into that space. Then we move up to the Manipura, which is the stomach chakra, 2 fingers below the belly, in front of the spine. And the seed syllable is Ram. Ram, 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 Ram. Ram, 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 Ram. loosening the constricts in the stomach area at that chakra, releasing energy and letting prana flow freely into the Sushumna Nadi. We then move to the heart center, the Anahata chakra. And here is the biggest knot. And as we focus on this area, we encourage prana to move into the Sushumna Nadi. And the seed syllable is lam. Lam, 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 lam. Lam, 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 lam. Releasing the bonds at the heart chakra, allowing prana to flow all the way from the Muladhara up to the heart. It's moving through us. It's dancing energy, making its way upwards to the throat chakra, the Vishuddha. And the seed syllable here is sum. Sum, 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 sum. Sum, 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 sum. We continue to move our energy upwards to the crown chakra, the Sarasrara, focusing our attention on that point. The mantra is Hung. Om. Om. And then we move our attention to the third eye, the Ajna, located 2 fingers above the brow in the center. Breathing in to that chakra, imagine it fill your body, and then sending it out like a light, like a long string. Breathing in, taking in. Breathing out, pushing that light further out. Breathing in, letting it fill your body, and sending the light out again, further and further. Imagining that light covering your house, your family, your pets, your neighborhood. Breathing it in again, the light comes back into you. And sending it out through the third eye into your neighborhood. A healing light, a loving light. Breathing in again, receiving. Breathing out through the third eye, sending out further and further into the world, so that all beings may be happy. Breathing in, coming into you, and sending it out again, interdependence and into being. Continue this process. May I be happy. May all beings be happy. May I be healthy. May all beings be healthy. May I be safe. May all beings be safe. May I live in peace. May all beings live in peace. Dissolve the visualization, feeling the benefits of prana moving through the Sushumna Nadi. And the active ingredient as well is loving kindness and bodhicitta, the wish to attain enlightenment for myself so that I may be of benefit to all beings. Taking in a deep breath in through the nose. And breathe it out. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. So welcome to the class this morning, everybody. Lovely to see you all again. These weeks just fly by. I can't believe that this is class 20. 20 classes from when we started. Isn't that cool? We've really been going well. Good morning, Pamela. Looks nice and warm there. What's that on your shirt? Create a better world. Oh, nice. Love it. It aligns with our meditation this morning. Hi, Antoinette. Antoinette's joined from her phone. Looks like you've had a haircut, friend. No? Oh, I'm just checking everyone's hairstyles this morning. So just a message of sympathy this morning to Belinda. I know she's feeling a bit rough, so she may not engage. Her darling Akita passed on this week, and we dedicate this class to Akita's journey and for you and your healing in your grief, Belinda. Not easy time for you. So I thought this morning we could maybe, even though life is heavy and life is tough, and some of us are going through some big changes, maybe there's something we can find that we can be joyful over, a rejoicing. And in the Buddhist framework, rejoicing is vital because we reflect on something that we've done, perhaps a good karma that we have created recently, and then we think about it, and then we talk about it, and it plants itself once again. So it adds to the growth of that karma. And as we know, if we feed karma, it grows exponentially. So a small good deed, which might be some generous act, or maybe you did a yoga class, maybe you did a meditation, some tiny little good deed, or even feeling happy about something in your life that's going really well. This generates more positive energy and more good karma in your life. And according to neuroscience, the more we practice gratitude and joy, the more gratitude and joy we'll have spontaneously. You know, what you practice grows stronger. So I thought we could start this morning with just checking in with you. And if you don't feel like turning your microphone on, or maybe you want to pop in the chat, that's fine. Or you just don't feel like really engaging, that's fine. But perhaps we can just have a moment of joy. For me, I'm feeling much stronger. The past 6 months have been an absolute roller coaster. Can't say it's gone very high. It's been a roller coaster under the ground. But I'm starting to feel like I've got a game plan. I'm starting to feel like I've got a plan for my son and for my mom, who has dementia and it's getting worse. And there's been a lot of question marks as to how I can help mom and how I can be there for my son. And the two are coming together. So I'm not going to talk too much about it, but at least there's a plan, and I'm feeling a lot more grounded and settled without being so unsure, right? And then realizing that how important the uncertainty was, and that really the healing was in the pain, and then acknowledging how special that process was, even though it was hard. So if there's anyone else that would like to share a rejoicing, you can unmute and share something if there is something going well in your life. Sure.
Well, I've also had a bit of a rough year, beginning of the year.
Yeah.
But I'm just feeling grateful now that everything is coming into place. My brother seems to be healed.
Oh.
Wow.
Wow.
My work is coming into place, and also with the cold, I am so grateful that I have a warm house, fires that I can put on, electric blankets, and things like that. I was feeling so bad because I think it was on Monday, was it? I went to go and buy blankets for my dogs, and I was like, yo, I'm buying blankets for my dogs, but there's people out there that don't have the warmth that I have. So I'm very grateful for that.
Absolutely. Well, that's great. And then to think, where does that warmth, where does that safety and security come from? You know, it comes from goodness and warmth and security that you've given others. So to feel concern, to feel kindness for those that don't, and wish them as well that you could share in the good karma with them is beautiful. So thanks for sharing, Pei. It's great to be grateful, isn't it? Right. Anybody else would like to reflect on something that's going well, or something that they've enjoyed doing that adds to their joy? Antoinette? Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So I've also been through a tough time. Also just gone through a breakup of engagement, actually. And yeah, it feels like a divorce. But I yesterday took out with a friend of mine, we took out our instruments. He's a sound healer, or a sound therapist, or whatever you want to call it. And my instruments, I packed them away a while ago. And what I did was and I'll share with you, because and I wasn't planning, but I'll share with you that I actually unpacked my instruments yesterday.
My word.
And we sat together and we just kind of made music, and it felt like I did ceremony for myself, for my own healing, because so many times I think we just step in so much for other people. And we sat and just jammed our bowls and our gongs for more than an hour. And afterwards, I had a big release of emotions. And I feel grateful this morning that I could have done that for myself. In fact, and to these instruments for being and the plants for being this in my life,
Wow.
like amazing plants, for being witnesses, and for just the time that I took to be. We ran so fast-paced, and for myself, I always am busy trying to fix things, and there's no fixing needed. I that just now sitting here, like, stop trying to fix, like, just be in the moment maybe, and be with whatever it is. So yeah, my gratitude this morning is to the tools that we have in our world, in our physical world, our physical tools that we have that we can use.
Yeah.
Like even being able to be on the phone, to be part of a group, and to have people in our world that we can lean on, while also being there for people you know. But if I bring it back to myself this morning, I'm just in deep gratitude for everybody and everything in my world that's supporting me at the moment, because I'm going through shit, like all of you. Yeah.
That's stunning. Wow, those bowls are next level. My goodness. It's like one of my dreams is to play with those bowls and make some beautiful sound. Amazing.
So when you're in Cape Town, then come and play them if you want to.
I would love to. I would love to. Yeah.
And if you want to ever come and just play them.
Yeah. Deep healing from those beautiful sounds. Music. Today I'm playing drums and didgeridoo at a retreat. So I'm looking forward to that.
Awesome. Good luck.
And all the best with your healing. And it sounds like you're on the right track. Yeah. Best thing to do. Mm-hmm. Any other rejoicing this morning?
Mark?
Yes, Belinda. Come on.
Sorry, guys. I didn't think that I would want to talk.
Sure.
But this is exactly what I needed to hear today.
Thank you.
The rejoicing. And I mean, we have so many beautiful memories. But what I do want to share with you guys, because we spoke before about souls after death and how they connect to us, and we were all wondering about that. I had this coincidence when Akita was at the vet the first day, and I went to visit really late in the evening. I was waiting for, when there's not a lot of people around. And they actually asked me to help my husband and I with Akita to get her onto a table, because the wolves are naturally shy, and they're not like dogs that want to partake in stuff and go outside and things like that. So we got Akita onto one of the operating tables, and at that moment one of the other vets brought a dog in. And I knew immediately that this dog was meant to be put down. And she put the dog in one of the other rooms with her blanket. And I know this vet very well. And one of my clients, we shared a client. So she said to me, but this is Healy's dog. Because I asked her, and what about that dog? She said, but it's Healy's dog. And now Healy came to me after her son passed away mysteriously. And she came to me every month to chat to her son. And then I didn't hear from her for a couple of months, and I was wondering. And I suddenly got a call from her daughter from Portugal that was here in the country for her funeral. So I heard that Healy had passed away suddenly from cancer. And the daughter wanted to come and connect with Healy and her brother. So what was interesting was this doggy, Healy has been wondering about putting down this doggy for a while because it was her son's dog. And she had a lot of health problems, and the son kept telling her she will know when. And then Healy passed away, and the daughter lives in Portugal, and the dad isn't really very good with dogs. So when the daughter was here, Healy gave me the message to give to her daughter, please just don't leave the dog like this. Just let her go, let her pass over, because dad won't make that decision. So this amazing coincidence that I was at the vet in Sasolburg, another town, at that moment when that dog came in. And because the vet and I knew, we knew the client. And so I asked her if I could then hold the dog as it passed over, because the husband just dropped it off and drove away. So it was such an honor to me that it felt like Healy and her son Brandon chose me to be there with the dog Sabrina. And the vet and I lay on the ground with the doggy, and she licked me in the face, and as she got the injection, I just held her and I kept whispering her name. And she was so excited while she fell asleep. And although the next day my wolf passed away, I think it's so amazing if you consider that it was Akita's soul, Sabrina's soul, the two doggies, everybody, Healy, Brandon, the vet, me. It's like this was an appointment we had. And that fills me with a lot of gratitude that we are channels, although we don't always know. So I just wanted to share that. Thank you.
It's one of the most beautiful shares ever. Sure. It's very powerful. Thank you for sharing and for being brave enough to share with us this morning. What a beautiful story, even in its pain. What a beautiful connection. Incredibly, magnificently spiritual, full of meaning and divine light. Thank you, Belinda. And it's just so wonderful that we have a Sangha, a community that we can take refuge in and feel strong enough to share our pain and our joys. Thank you for sharing. Sure. Any other rejoicing this morning? Okay. All right. So we've been exploring the teachings of Lady Naguma. I'm not sure if anyone has done the yoga practice. I did share it on the YouTube channel. I did manage to do it soon after I shared it, and I've been a bit slack in terms of keeping the practice going, but I really intend to ramp up my practice this week, because it's a very powerful practice, working on your chakras from the outside and inside. So we just did the Naguma meditation, and then traditionally you would then do the asana practice. So you do the Rota Ruta, and then you bang on the pipes, if we use the plumber analogy that we spoke of. I'm so overcome with emotion right now. Whew. So good. It's a great feeling, isn't it? Riding the waves of compassion. So, who was Naguma? Have I told you the story of her life? Well, her connection with Naropa. Some of you may have heard it. No? Okay. So, Lady Naguma, the story goes that there's a very famous Buddhist enlightened being that lived about 1,200 years ago. His name is Naropa. And even the Hindus, they say that, Naropa is like their man. If you look in the yoga lineages, you'll see that Naropa features in the Hindu scriptures. But the Buddhists claim him as theirs. Naropa was definitely a Buddhist. So anyway, it doesn't matter. Naropa was a prince born to a kingdom in northern India at that time. There were a lot of little kingdoms. So you had lots of little like, say, for example, Johannesburg would be a kingdom, right? And it would be ruled by a king and a queen. And Naropa was the prince of that kingdom. But his father was very concerned about Naropa, because Naropa was like the Buddha, he was like a hippie. Except Naropa his father didn't try and hide the world away from Naropa. As a king, he wants his son to, be a king and do king stuff and wage war and all that cock. So Naropa was interested in meditation and the sacred spiritual arts. And the king and the queen were like, no, you need to find a wife. You need to make children. You need to pass on our family heritage. Our lineage can't die because you don't want to have babies and a wife. And Naropa had no interest in that at all. So his mother and father were very upset with him, as you can imagine. And he felt very sad that he was hurting his mom and dad, the king and queen. So he had a vision in a dream, and he heard a name, Neguma. Neguma is your bride. And he came out of that dream and he went to his mom and dad and he said, there's a woman called Neguma, and she is a very spiritual woman, and I saw a vision of her, but I don't know where she is. If you find her, I will marry her. And the king and queen got so excited, right? And they sent out search parties all over India to find a person called Neguma. But not only that, they had to be of a very high caste. But the thing is, this was a Buddhist family, right? They weren't Hindu, so the caste system didn't apply to this kingdom. But Neguma had to be of high esteem, and she had to have certain spiritual power. So eventually, after 3 months of looking, there were 2 ministers that came to a little village on the western side of India. And there was a beautiful young girl who saw them and felt compassion for them because they were weary and had been traveling. And she threw a bucket down the well. And it said that the rope of the bucket, the rope snapped and the bucket fell into the well. And the 2 ministers went, oh gosh, that's unlucky. And she said, don't worry. And all of a sudden the bucket magically arose out of the well without a rope. So they were like, wow, how did you do that? And she just kind of smiled, and she obviously had some, what they say in Sanskrit, siddhis, some spiritual powers, which is quite common in the texts, ancient texts, that people could do such things. And then they asked her, what is your name? And she said, my name is Neguma. So they were convinced that this was the princess, that this was the princess to be, Naropa's bride. So they went to her father, and they said to the father, we need to take your daughter. We need to take her away, and she needs to get married to a Buddhist prince. And the father was angry. He said, we are not Buddhist, we are Hindu. My daughter will, no matter who, she's not going to marry a prince out of the caste system in another world. So the whole village got wind of this romantic story, and they all came and they camped outside the house, and they were all saying, let her go, let Neguma go. And they were chanting and carrying on, and they put so much pressure on the father that he said, all right, you can take my daughter to meet Naropa. And they did. And immediately when Naropa met Neguma, he said, this is the girl I dreamt of. This is the girl of my dreams. Beautiful love story. But with every love story comes some sort of drama, isn't there? So Neguma loved Naropa deeply. And she loved what he was up to. She loved meditating with him. They did yoga together, and they studied sacred scripture together. And they were not interested in having children and continuing the responsibilities of a future king and queen. And as the months went by, the years, the king and queen grew once again despondent because they saw no babies, and they saw these 2 hippies doing their own thing and not following the steps that they followed when they were younger. So Neguma could also see that there was a deep sadness within Naropa, that he did not want to be in this system, that he wanted actually to be a monk. He did not want really to be married. He did not want to have children. And he actually needed to be a renunciant. So in her wisdom, the only way that she could release Naropa from his duties is if the marriage was broken, annulled. And one of the ways that she could do this is by saying that she was with somebody else. So she went to the king and queen and she made it public that she had an affair when she didn't. And she was banished from the kingdom, and the marriage was annulled. And Naropa left the kingdom and he met with Neguma in another land. And they stayed together for a while until he went on to Nalanda University and became a monk. And the story of his life from there gets quite magical. He met his guru, Tilopa, and he became enlightened. Neguma went on to become enlightened herself, and she founded a yoga school for women in an island on the Ganges River. And the island's name was called Soha. And it is said that her tribe, her yoginis, her dakinis, developed magical powers where they could fly in the sky, and that they had many, many powers. It is a great historical story of a monk called Kumpo Naljor, who heard about her and he wanted to learn from her, and he made his way to the island. And when he approached the island, she appeared as a demon with fangs and horrible, to scare him away. And he bowed down in front of her and he said, "I am not afraid. I know that you are Neguma. I know that you are my guru," you know. And she then took him and carried him to the top of the mountain and started to teach him. And he became her student, as well as all her female students. So the yoga of Lady Neguma was created through the union of Naropa and Neguma. There's also the 6 yogas of Naropa, which is very famous in the tantric teachings of Buddhism and in yoga lineage Hinduism. And these are 6 systems of working with the chakras and the energy and your channels. Neguma's yoga was specifically designed for women. And even though I practice it, I guess maybe my next life I will be a woman. Specifically designed for women, and it is a yoga session designed by an enlightened being. Okay, so if you want a class from a Buddha, then that's the class. Okay, it's in a certain sequence and in a certain way. The actual teachings were discovered by Geshe Michael's students. He formed a group called the Asian Classics Input Project, which was funded by his previous organization. So they put millions into it. And literally, I imagine it to be like Tomb Raider. They would go into ancient monasteries and find teachings that were lost, like 1,000-year-old teachings that were stored away, that they uncovered, they scanned, they translated, and put onto mainstream internet or sharing. And that's what they do. They recover, record, and save ancient wisdom, which is incredible, right? So Neguma and her yoga is one of those teachings that were found. and not just by Geshe Michael, but the whole world acknowledged Lady Nguma and her power, which is great, right? Because it's so boring to see a long, long lineage of this guy and that guy and this guy and that guy. But the female lineage, even though it must have been very intact, is not all that known to us. So really wonderful that we can glorify a female yogini and say she was an enlightened being, you know, and what did she leave for us? What did she leave behind for us? So this is the interesting thing, you know. I don't know, has anybody here considered becoming a nun? No. Okay. It's not too late, by the way. No. Antoinette, you have?
Yeah, for sure. But not a nun like a Catholic nun, like a Buddhist, because I know I can't become a monk.
Yeah.
But I think I was 23 the first time I went to see a psychologist because people said to me I must go.
Yeah.
Because I went through I think it was my first marriage. I was in like a very tough spot. And I said, like, all I actually want to do is just go and become a monk and meditate, and not only meditate, and then the psychologist convinced me that it wasn't going to work for my life. And she said to me, and then what? And then I said to her, and then what? She said to me, no, then what? I said to her, then I'm going to be a Buddhist monk. I'm going to live in a monastery, or I'm going to travel the world, but I'm going to devote my life to that. And she convinced me not to do it. And I'm till this day quite mad about it, actually. So yes, that's a yes from me.
Okay, so it was pretty close for you, right?
Yeah, and I keep on coming back to that point often when, like now, I need to move home and I'm busy wrapping up my life. The relationship has come to an end. And I'm going like, is this the gap that I'm supposed to take? Because it's deep and rooted in me. And I'm also 7 life path in numerology, which means I came down to this earth to walk a spiritual life path. So it's not escapism. I'm aware of it for me. But yeah, we'll see. Maybe I still will. Till what age can you sign up?
Any age. But you got to. It's not very well supported in South Africa, so there aren't too many avenues for you to become a nun. I think the only real avenue would be to become very involved with the Taiwanese temple in Bronkhorstspruit. I don't know if there's anything in Cape Town, but they've got a system. They've got a whole, but then you'd have to learn Mandarin, and it's a whole cultural process. The easiest way, if I decide to become a monk, which maybe I will, because I'm also feeling that a sense of renunciation at the moment, but maybe it's just a momentary thing. But my teacher, his name is David Stumpf, and his teacher is Geshe Michael. So David and his wife Susan, they built properties in a desert in Arizona as part of the start of Diamond Mountain. And that was, I think, about 20 years ago. And now it's a massive retreat facility in the Arizona desert. But they literally built a house in the desert and fuck all else. There was nothing else, like nothing. The latest town, Bowie, is about 30 kilometers away. So you can imagine, it's like rattlesnakes and hectic country. And I've been there. So I was there last year. Amazing to see. And David single-handedly built, well, not single-handedly, he had help, but he would lay down the water pipes. He would build the homes. He would, build the toilet systems. Incredible man. He's a biochemist, and he's also a rocket scientist, believe it or not. He's published books on rocket science. So he's a really smart guy, but a very close friend and a father figure to me, actually. Very dear. Yeah, beautiful. He actually paid for our flights to go to the States last year. He paid for everything. So very special to have a guru like that in your life. Him and his wife about 10 years ago did a 3-year retreat in Arizona desert, where they took vows of celibacy, even though they lived together. And 3 years of meditation and yoga, which is very difficult for David because he's a real nerd. He's like a real scholar. No internet, no news, no TV, bugger all. And then recently, was about 3 years ago, he became a monk. He is still married to his wife, but they are celibate, and he's taken vows of monastic vows. And she has become like a tantric yogini. So he's allowed to wear the robes, the maroon robes, and he is fully ordained. So that's one way to do it. Go to Arizona, go join the Asian Classics Institute, and you could fast track quickly into becoming a nun. And then you can come back here and teach all the South Africans. And so there are 2 ways that one can practice the Dharma. Well, 3. I guess one is to become a monastic, so that you don't need to deal with all the junk of life. I read something quite funny. I was trying to get it right. Being in a relationship is a wonderful way to solve problems that you wouldn't have if you weren't in a relationship. And I keep going back to that. Yeah, being in a relationship, you unpack problems and solve problems that you wouldn't have if you weren't in a relationship. So a lot of monastics are like, I don't need relationship problems. I'm just going to focus on my meditation, my inner work, and that's admirable. I do think, though, that relationships are probably the grist for the mill, in that we are exposed. All of our shortcomings and neuroses and problems and afflictions, we would not know if somebody didn't hold up a mirror and say, hi, this is you, this is what I'm seeing, even though it's their projection too, right? But I think all these projections and all these things are hidden if somebody else doesn't show it to us. And it's really amazing to work with a guru or a mentor to be able to do that for you, one-on-one, in a form of a counseling thing as well. So that can really work well. So if you do become a nun or a monk, to have a guru in your life that really is your mirror. Otherwise, just to be isolated alone, I don't think that's helpful. Maybe a spiritual community will help you as well with those dynamics. I can tell you, I lived in a Lamrim Buddhist temple for 3 years, and I thought it was going to be peaceful and Shangri-La and beautiful, and it was chaos. There was freaking egos and issues and problems, and it was worse than corporate life. I think, Kerry, you remember that place. Yeah, I'm not sure if you were there, Pam. You did, yeah, you came. So, yeah, beautiful place, lovely sanctuary for many. For me, it turned into a nightmare, dealing with the politics and the red tape and the sectarianism, and I couldn't wait to get out, towards the end of it. So yeah, but still yet an environment to study, learn, grow. So one can become a monastic, one can stay a lay person and live with a partner and have family life. No problem. Difficult to find time to study, meditate, and practice, because life then requires you to earn money, to make a living, and it also difficult to remember to practice the Dharma even in the chaos of all of that. but possible and very, very rewarding if you can get that right. I think maybe fast track spiritual growth, right? And then, of course, a yogi or a yogini, where you don't take monastic vows. I know in Tibet, traditionally, they would have long hair, dreadlocks, kind of hippie style. Maybe they would beg, maybe they would have some sort of simple job, but they would be really kind of offbeat and tantric, and shamanic. And even, maybe they offer counseling as a shaman. They do sacred ceremonies. They're a little bit wild. They're a little bit crazy. No one understands them very well. So there's those kind of three spiritual paths, right? And then I'm always drawn to all three of them. And I find myself mostly in the middle one, being very domesticated, but then fascinated with the shamanistic path and also the monastic path. So, and I saw that with my guru, from going in as a monk, and then at some point he took on a partner, which caused massive controversy in the Buddhist world, because how can a monk take on a partner? And then moved into more tantric shamanic practices, crazy practices, and condemned and judged for that. But if you look at the path of the yogis, Naropa, Niguma, and many, many others in the Buddhist lineages, they had partners. They had partners that they were working with, practicing yoga, practicing meditation, and of course, intimacy practices that are also difficult, I believe, in terms of its complexity. Not all about just having fun and pleasure, but working with sexual energy as a form of liberation. And according to the tantric teachings, one can attain enlightenment very quickly through working with a partner, and then seeing your partner as your guru, what they call sacred relationships, spiritual partners, and that's rare, right? That's very rare, is to find someone that can work with you in that way. And if you do, a lot of people around are quite different in their ideologies. So you might come with your Buddhist view of karma, and they're going, no, it's not karma, it's the universe, and then there's sort of like these debates that you have with people, where sometimes you feel that you're aligned with a spiritual partner, but a lot of the times you're not. So it's important to get that alignment and to get the encouragement to be able to do that. But that's why monastic life, I guess, is uncomplicated in many ways. I don't know. I haven't been a monk, can't say, but had the intention once. Yeah. So that is the story of Niguma. Remember the 6 perfections that we touched on last week? The perfection of generosity, the perfection of kindness, ethics, the perfection of patience, the perfection of joyous effort, the perfection of meditative concentration, and the perfection of wisdom. So I think maybe we need to unpack those a little bit next week. Dive down and explore another form of yoga called Tibetan heart yoga. But if you haven't done your Niguma yoga, now is a good time to do it. Roll your yoga mat out before you do anything else. Just put it on and just do it. It's an hour or an hour and a half. Why not? Give it a try, Pam's fighting with wasps. Sure. I'm sure it's nice and warm. Pam, I heard heat waves. Yeah? Very hot in Europe.
It's very hot and very dry.
Really? No rain?
Yeah. And they also start to say we have too little water in the ground. We must be careful. You know, for Germany, that's very new too. Okay, since the last 2-3 years,
Yeah.
it's extremely hot in summer and mild in winter.
Mm.
Mark, I wanted to say something. In my village, there is a monastery for Catholic nuns.
Yeah.
And it seems like they have to work harder than normal people. I met some, and the one has to work in the kitchen.
Wow.
The other one cleans the rooms and so on. And they don't stop at 5 o'clock in the afternoon
Yeah.
and switch the TV on. So I wanted to say it has such a romantic idea about being nun or monk, but I think they work really hard also in work life.
Yeah. I think so too. I think in the Zen tradition as well, they have to work. They have to work in the garden. A lot of backbreaking work, cleaning, cooking. You know, it's just another community, right? It's just another, but more communal and spiritual as its core, as its center. Interestingly enough, there's a lot of studies done on longevity. They found that the Haredim, which is a Jewish sect, you know, it's the Jews that wear the hats and the tails, and the women wear the long dresses, and they what are they, Orthodox? What do they call them? Orthodox. They don't make a lot of money. They don't work much. They pray all day. They very close in the synagogue and in the community. They don't eat right. They eat lots of sweets and sugar, and no vegetables, no fruit. They are very unfit. They don't exercise. And they live 10 years longer than most Israelis do. And they are 70% happier than most Israelis. And it's because of their religious practice and their connection as a sect, right? And a lot of the Jews actually hate them. They can't stand them. They don't get any sun. They don't get vitamin D because they're always covered up, you know. But yet they live happy and long lives because of that community. And as we progress into technology, our sense of community is deteriorating. We're becoming more lonely. That's a big problem in the world and with our health. They say loneliness is the equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day in terms of your health. Loneliness, not feeling connected. So I rejoice at being connected to all of you today and having these regular meetings. It feeds the soul. And Belinda, your story was absolutely moving and beautiful. Thank you for sharing with us today. And much love and blessings to you at this time and to Akita. We end this class with a dedication. May all beings everywhere be happy and have the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the highest bliss, which is without suffering. May they come to rest in the great equanimity, which is free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. May the precious and awakened mind arise in those where it has not arisen. And where it has arisen, may it continue to expand and never cease. Gewadi kewokun, sonam yeshe zozoshin, sonam yeshe lejonwe, Dampa Gunya Topa Shok. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining. We'll see you next Saturday. Have a blessed day. And yeah, keep up your practice. Go and do that yoga. Just roll your mat out now. Go and do it.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.